Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is Week 4 wide receiver rankings. Now, before I get into this video, I'm going to give you guys a quick word from my sponsor, OverlayDFS. This website is amazing and super fun to play on. So here's Nick from the past talking about it. Are you tired of having to pick the perfect player at every single position in order to win on salary cap DFS? Are you tired of having your salary cap lineup out of the running to win that glorious money in the first 5 minutes of Sunday? Does playing salary cap DFS feel like a job and not even a fun game? Want a fantasy game where pros with 150 lineups and computer generated programs can't dominate? OverlayDFS.com has a new revolutionary start-sit game for fantasy sports. They are home of the single entry GPP. Now you might ask me, Nick, how do you play this game? It is very simple. It's a simple start-sit format. Make 12 start-sit decisions from the 30-plus matchups presented to you on your screen, like you may see on my screen right now. A win, loss, or tie will be awarded to your overall record for each decision. Records in the top 10% of users win 9 times your buy-in. You heard that correct. 9 times your buy-in. 12-0 records win GTD progressive bonus. All matchups are player versus player. Who will have more total fantasy points? Typically, 8-4 record is good enough to get that cash. Sometimes it's 7-5. Other times it's 9-3, depending on the given week. Now you're going to be making 12 picks in the matchup options listed. For example, the NFL Week 4 matchups include Lamar Jackson versus Dak Prescott, Robert Woods versus Brandon Cooks, and many, many more. The object is to stay consistent and finish in the top 10% of the field to win 9 times your buy-in until the stars align and you go that beautiful 12-0. Right now, if you go the perfect 12-0 in the $109 game, you'll win the progressive bonus of over $26,000. They have buy-ins of all levels. If no one hits that perfect 12-0 record, the progressive bonus keeps on growing and rolling over until it gets hit. It's like the super contest, but for DFS. Don't get shut out. Visit www.overlaydfs.com today. Alright, boys, we are bike, and let's get right into this video. Week 4 wide receiver rankings. Make sure to click that subscribe button down below as well. Here are rankings 1 through 12. First is Keenan Allen going up against Miami. This should be very obvious. Any wide receiver, running back, tight end, coach, kicker, defense, any of them, you can start against the Miami Dolphins defense. The Miami Dolphins are ass cheeks, and Keenan Allen is going to run through them this week, and that's why he's my #1 rated wide receiver this week. Now, the second guy is DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins was drafted super highly in your fantasy league for one reason and one reason only, that he is the best player on the field pretty much at all times. Him and Deshaun Watson have a great connection against Carolina. This may be in for a pretty high-scoring matchup, and I think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a big game. Number 3 is Julio Jones going up against the Tennessee Titans defense. Now, a lot of people talk about how the Titans defense is pretty good. Gardner Minshew begs to differ. He absolutely torched and eviscerated them. I think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones could do the same thing on Sunday. I really do like Julio Jones this week. Number 4 is Odell Beckham Jr. going against the Baltimore Ravens. Week 2, Odell went off against the Jets defense. Obviously, the Baltimore defense is far better than them, but Odell still had a pretty decent game last week, and I think he could have another decent game this week against the Baltimore Ravens. And by decent, I mean pretty goddamn good, because I personally think he's going to be a top 5 guy this week going up against Baltimore. Number 5 is Tyler Lockett going against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals defense is, as one would describe, as hot garbage. They are terrible. Tyler Lockett looked amazing last week. He's looked amazing pretty much all year. I'm very confident in Tyler Lockett being a great asset season long, but an even better asset this week going up against the Arizona Cardinals. So that's why he's my number 5 wide receiver. Now, number 6 is a guy I doubted, and that is Amari Cooper of the Dallas Cowboys going up against the New Orleans Saints. I thought that the injury at the beginning of the season, or from the preseason, would hurt him too much. It doesn't seem to be hurting him at all. He's the #1 wide receiver on the team. He's eviscerating defenses, torching defenses. Now, I know this is a harder matchup. He's playing against a team that is better, but at the exact same time, it's a New Orleans Saints without Drew Brees. Their defense doesn't look all that amazing. I think Amari Cooper should have a great outing on Sunday. Now, number 7 is Michael Thomas going up against Amari Cooper and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know he's without Drew Brees. I know that could be a reason to put him lower in the rankings, but in my opinion, talent trumps everything. His talent is amazing. Michael Thomas is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You can't guard Mike, and Michael Thomas is going to have a day against the Dallas Cowboys. Number 8 here is Juju Smith-Schuster. He also is without his quarterback going up against Cincinnati. He has Kyle Rudolph at the quarterback position. Now, a lot of people are telling me, someone called me a flippin' idiot because they told me that Juju Smith-Schuster would have had a bad day had he not caught that one catch that was deep. Sure, he would have had a bad day, but a lot of guys catch 80-yard bombs and score a touchdown, and you don't put it against them. So I'm not sure why you're putting it up against Juju when he gets a huge bomb and runs it into the end zone. So I'm going to be pretty confident in Juju this week going against Cincinnati. Like I've said in other videos, the Steelers are 6-0 in the last 3 years against the Bengals. Number 9 is Cooper Kupp. Now, Cooper Kupp, I find, is the easiest one to rank out of the LA Rams. He is clearly a top 10 guy every single week. He seems to be Jared Goff's favorite target. Knock one time if you're with me. Cooper Kupp is going to be an amazing wide receiver this week going against a trash Tampa Bay defense. We saw Daniel Dimes destroy them last week. Number 10 is his teammate, Brandon Cooks. Obviously, still going up against Tampa Bay. Him and Kupp seem to be the best targets on the team. And now, with you thinking that, now Woods is obviously going to blow up because Woods has had 2 bad games. These guys have dominated. That's just how it works. That's how the NFL works. But I am going to rank these 2 higher because I think they have the best potential to score the most points. Number 11 here is Kenny Golladay going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you might be wondering, where's Sammy Watkins? Sammy Watkins is on the next page. I do like Sammy Watkins a lot, but I believe Kenny Golladay is safer. This is going to be a certified shootout, and I think that Kenny Golladay is going to get a lot more usage than he did last week. Last week was the Marvin Jones show. I think it'll be the Kenny Golladay show again this week. In a game where Matt Stafford could potentially be throwing 3 touchdowns, you need to start Kenny Golladay in this game. Number 12 is Mike Evans going up against the LA Rams. Now, I know a lot of people weeks ago, just last week, were telling me that Mike Evans was shit. Telling me that Mike Evans, Chief Keef, don't do this. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. They were telling me that he was terrible. And Mike Evans went out there and said, screw you all. Hold my jockstrap. Mike Evans had an amazing game against Daniel Dimes and the Giants. Played great. They ended up losing the game because their kicker couldn't kick a field goal. But Mike Evans had an amazing game. I think he's in for another great game this week against the Rams. Now we're at 13 through 24. Number 13 is Sammy Watkins. Like I said, I love this matchup. I think it is going to be a shootout against Detroit, KC, and Detroit. But I do, at the end of the day, think that Kenny Golladay is just going to score more points. Sammy Watkins has been very inconsistent. Week 1 blew up. Week 2 and 3, not the numbers that you've been looking for was Hardman and Robinson season. So I'm not as trustworthy to put Sammy Watkins in my top 12, but I will eat my words when he inevitably scores 3 touchdowns on Sunday. Number 14 is Mike Evans' teammate, Chris Godwin, going against the LA Rams. Chris Godwin had a bad game last week. Obviously, didn't hop in the end zone, was dealing with an injury, is still dealing with an injury. I think he should be good to go Sunday, and that's why he is ranked so highly, because I think he's just a great talent, great wide receiver, and a great fantasy wide receiver. Number 15 is Tyler, Boyd of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know, I told you that the Steelers have absolutely ass-fucked the Cincinnati Bengals every single game for the last 3 years, and that is true. But Tyler Boyd is a true talent. Andy Dalton still played pretty good in those games. They were all close games. I think that Tyler Boyd will be able to have a pretty solid outing against the Steelers defense that hasn't looked all that good. Number 16 is old man Larry Fitzgerald going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I have him ranked higher than Christian Kirk because, in my opinion, Larry Fitzgerald is just safer. It seems like Kyler Murray is always looking his way, and I think that Larry Fitzgerald is in for a big game this week against Seattle. That is also a defense that is not looking like it used to. Number 17 is F1 Terry McLaurin. In my opinion, I like calling him Scary Terry better going against the New York Giants. Now, he is dealing with an injury, and you do have to monitor that, but he seems to think that he is good to go on Sunday. I think he's good to go and absolutely dominate the New York Giants defense. They look terrible. They look like they couldn't stop me if I was to run out there, so I'm pretty sure they can't stop Scary Terry. Terry has been eating every single game. I am very confident in him this week going up against the Giants. Had he not have had this injury risk coming into the game with an injury, he may have been a top 10 wide receiver this week, in my opinion. Number 18 is the LA Rams brother that is lost in the back of the wide receiver core. Number 18, Robert Woods. Now, he is obviously held back from the pack. Him and his brothers, he's the one furthest back in the rankings. Robert Woods has disappointed the past couple of weeks, but I do think that he's in for a bounce-back game, and it's impossible to bench him. You see the talent. You know the talent. You know Robert Woods has that it factor, and you know that one of these games he's bound to break back out and be the Robert Woods you saw from last year, even with Cooper Kupp in the lineup. Number 19, we have Julian Edelman. going up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I do know that he had that rib injury. I think he should be good to go against the Bills. I'm pretty confident Julian Edelman, Tom Brady, and Julian Edelman are going to go into Buffalo. There's going to be stuff being thrown, phallic images being thrown onto the field. But Julian Edelman is going to go out there and dominate. We know who Julian Edelman is without AB. Julian Edelman and Tom Brady are an amazing connection. And I love Julian Edelman this week going up against Buffalo, who I think may end up getting their ass whooped. Number 20 is Sterling Shepard going up against the Washington defense. Same thing could be said about the Giants defense as the Washington defense. Terrible. Sterling Shepard should be able to do good. Daniel Jones looks great, and it seems like he may be able to have found another great connection with Sterling Shepard as well as Evan Ingram. Number 21 is Christian Kirk. I talked about him before. I like him a lot too. Going up against Seattle, I don't think Seattle's defense is all that good, and Kyler Murray seems to love targeting Larry Fitz and Christian Kirk. Number 22 is Adam Thielen going up against the Chicago Bears. I am very nervous about starting Adam Thielen this week going up against an amazing Bears defense, but it seems to be that Kirk Cousins is only targeting his friend, Mr. Adam Thielen, and I think that Adam Thielen is in for an okay game this week and is still a top 22 option. Number 23 is Hollywood Marquise Brown going up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know a lot of people are worried about Hollywood Brown. They're thinking, how is he doing this well with all the snap count bullshit? Thinking about this, thinking about that. He's still a good player, still a great talent, still the best wide receiver on the Ravens. So I like Hollywood Brown this week going against the Cleveland Browns in an AFC North matchup. Number 24 is DJ Moore going up against the Houston Texans. Now, I know DJ Moore doesn't have Cam Newton. He didn't play all that good last week. Got one reception, 44 yards, and a touchdown. But I do think that DJ Moore is going to be able to have a bigger bounce back game this week, and I like him going up against Houston. I think Kyle Allen is going to be targeting him a lot more. Now we're on to 25 through 32. 25 is Mr. Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, I do think that Calvin Ridley had a terrible game last week. He put up that dud, so people are going to be nervous to start him, and I know I would be too, but you have to put last week behind you and think that Calvin Ridley, and know that Calvin Ridley is that talent. He does have that talent, and as long as Matt Ryan doesn't do the bird box challenge and throws the ball his way and his eyes are open, Calvin Ridley will make those catches. Number 26 is Marvin Jones going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now it is impossible to bench any of these wide receivers in this game. Marvin Jones could be in for a game just like last week going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in a super high scoring matchup. I love Marvin Jones this week going up against the Chiefs. Number 27, we have Josh Gordon. Stay off the weed, Mr. Flash Gordon going up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I do like Philip Dorsett this week as well. He didn't make the rankings because he's a guy that's like in the 35 range. But I think that Josh Gordon is the number 2 on the team. I think he will get the yardage, get the balls thrown his way, and come down with a pretty decent game. At number 28, we have Allen Robinson going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, last week we saw the Taylor Gabriel show for the Bears. Mitch Trubisky to Taylor Gabriel every single goddamn play. But Allen Robinson will make it out of this game having a pretty decent game against a Vikings defense that is pretty good, but I think that Allen Robinson will have a bounce back game after last week. Number 29, we have Tyrell Williams and the Derek Carr show in the Raiders going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Tyrell Williams is a guy that is impossible to bench as well. Very hard to bench him unless you have guys that are a lot better than him, because every single week he seems to be finding his way into the end zone. Derek Carr definitely loves throwing the ball his way. Number 30, we have Curtis Samuel of the Carolina Panthers. It seems like him and Greg Olsen are the true targets of Kyle Allen. I think Curtis Samuel could be in for a big game, potentially even a bigger game than DJ Moore. Number 31 and 32, we have Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson. Now, I know I said their names in the opposite way, but it doesn't really matter. They're interchangeable. They're both potentially in for a 1 touchdown game and over 100 yards. It's impossible not to start these wide receivers when you know you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the Hall of Famer, the GOAT, the best quarterback in the NFL, throwing him the ball. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, you ended up having a chuckle, you ended up being like, God damn, Nick, that was amazing, click that subscribe button. Shout out to OverlayDFS. Click that link down below in the description. Have a great goddamn day. I love you all. Goodbye.